Virgo, whether you like it or not, whether you are ready or not, whether you have done the inner work or you are still somewhere in the middle of something you have not figured out yet, whether you believe in this kind of thing or you are watching with the careful skepticism of someone who has learned that hoping too hard has a specific cost, it does not matter. What is happening today did not ask for your permission. And I need you to hear that first, before the cards, before the details, before any of the texture of what I am feeling in your energy right now. Because there are things in your life that have been waiting for your green light, that have been patient while you prepared, while you healed, while you convinced yourself you were almost ready. While you looked for the right moment and the right feeling and the right level of certainty before you said yes to them, this is not one of those things. This arrives anyway. Let me tell you what I feel in your energy right now. Not your energy in general, right now, today, in the specific, unrepeatable reality of this particular day in your life. Something is moving, not the slow, gradual kind of movement you can ignore when you are busy, not the kind that settles softly at the edge of your awareness and waits for you to notice it at your own pace. Movement with speed in it, with direction in it, something converging on a specific point in your reality, and it is not slowing down to give you time to prepare. And I want to be honest with you about what this feels like from where I am sitting. It feels like a detonation that has already been set, not an explosion in the destructive sense, a detonation in the sense of something compressed, finally releasing, something that has been building pressure in a contained space for long enough that the container simply cannot hold it anymore. And what releases when that pressure finally breaks free is not chaos, it is clarity. The specific, breathtaking, slightly disorienting clarity of something that has been true for a long time suddenly becoming impossible to misread. Today is that day for you. Now, I need to name something before we go any further because I feel it sitting in your energy and pretending it is not there would be dishonest. You are resisting something, not this reading necessarily. Something in your life, something you keep pushing to later, keep surrounding with reasons that sound logical from the inside, but that have started to sound a little hollow even to you. A conversation you have not had, a decision you have been holding at arm's length by telling yourself you need more information, more certainty, more of something before you can allow yourself to make it. Maybe it is a truth about yourself that you keep translating into something smaller, something more manageable, because the real size of it is uncomfortable in a way that smaller does not require you to act on. I know what that resistance feels like from the inside. It feels like prudence, like wisdom, like the responsible choice of someone who has been burned before and learned the appropriate lessons about not moving too fast toward things that feel too good. But here is what I need you to hear: that resistance is not protecting you anymore. It has not been protecting you for a while. What it has been doing, quietly and efficiently and without your full awareness, is keeping you in a version of your life that stopped fitting you some time ago. Keeping you inside dimensions that were appropriate once and that your actual growth has long since exceeded. Keeping you safe from disappointment and also with the same wall from everything that is trying to reach you on the other side of the opening. Today, that wall comes down not because you finally decided to take it down, because something larger than it has arrived. And Larger things do not negotiate with walls. They simply make them irrelevant. Let me pull the cards now because they have been pressing since the beginning of this reading, and what they are showing is too specific to hold back any longer. The first card that came through for you is the Wheel of Fortune. And I want to speak to what this card actually means because most people misread it. They think it is a card of luck, of randomness, of something that happens to you according to a cosmic logic you cannot influence or predict. That is not what this is. The Wheel of Fortune is the card of a cycle reaching its natural tipping point. It is not random. It is not capricious. It is almost mathematical in the deepest sense of the word. Every movement you have made, every choice, every moment you held on when everything in you wanted to let go, every time you chose your integrity when something easier was available, every quiet, unglamorous, unwitnessed act of faithfulness to who you actually are. All of it accumulated, and today the wheel reaches its tipping point. Not downward. Do not misread me. The wheel of fortune in this position, with the energy I am feeling around you right now, turns upward. But I want you to understand something important about this turning. You are not a passive recipient of it. You are part of it, an active part. Even if you do not feel active, even if you still feel like you are waiting, even if nothing in the external landscape of your morning looked like the beginning of anything significant, the wheel is turning, and you are turning with it, whether you feel it yet or not. The second card is Judgment, and this one stopped me because Judgment is the card of the call, not in the romantic sense of destiny or mystical purpose laid out in advance, in the very concrete, very physical sense of something calling you by your actual name. Something saying, it is time, your time. Not the time you prepared for or the time you would have chosen if someone had asked. The real time, the one with its own agenda. Judgment appears when someone is standing at the threshold of an entirely new understanding of themselves. Not an improved version of the existing understanding, an entirely new one, as if the previous version of who you thought you were was a sketch, and what is arriving now is the full painting, every detail filled in, every shadow placed correctly, the complete picture finally visible. And here is what this card is saying specifically for you today. There is something you know about yourself that you have not yet fully claimed, a capacity, a level, a truth about what you are capable of doing and being and creating and holding and offering to the world that you keep treating as a future possibility rather than a present reality. Judgment says the time for treating it as a future possibility is over. It is your present reality. It always was. You are simply arriving at the moment where it becomes impossible to keep arguing with it. And I want to say something about that arguing because I think Virgo specifically needs to hear this. The internal argument you have been having with your own potential is not humility. I know it feels like humility. I know it presents itself as the reasonable, grounded, appropriate response of someone who does not want to get ahead of themselves or claim more than they can prove. But humility does not feel like dread. Humility does not wake you up at 3 in the morning running calculations about whether you are enough. Humility does not require constant maintenance and vigilance and the ongoing effort of talking yourself back down from what you actually know about yourself. What you have been doing is not humility. It is self suppression wearing humility's clothes. And today the clothes come off. The third card is the Ace of Wands. And when I saw this card in this position alongside these two others, I understood why this reading needed to be recorded today, not tomorrow, not next week, today. The Ace of Wands is pure energy at its origin point, before it has been shaped into anything specific. Fire at its source, creativity at its moment of birth, the impulse that precedes all action, but that already contains the form of everything that action is going to create. It is the card of something beginning, not about to begin, beginning right now, in the energy of this specific day. And this beginning has different forms depending on who is receiving this reading. For some of you, it is something creative, a project that has been living in your head and that is finding today its passage from your head into the actual world with an urgency that was not there before. Something that has been theoretical becoming suddenly, pressingly, undeniably practical. For others, it is a conversation, something that needs to be said and that has been finding its way to the surface for a while, and that today finally has enough momentum to actually reach the air. Not as a dramatic confrontation, as a truth that has simply become larger than the silence keeping it contained. For others, it is a decision, the one you have been circling, that you have examined from every angle and weighed against every possible outcome, and that you have arrived at and then retreated from and then arrived at again. Today, the circling stops, not because you suddenly have more information, because the Ace of Wands is not a card of more information. It is a card of the moment when energy simply moves. When the readiness you have been waiting for reveals itself to have been present the whole time, when the only thing left to do is begin. Does something in you feel this already? That specific quality of pressure, not unpleasant exactly, but insistent. The feeling that something is right at the edge of your life pressing forward. Have you noticed this morning or in the last few days a restlessness that does not have a clean explanation, a sense that something is on the verge without being able to name what the something is? Let me know in the comments. One word, whatever is sitting in the center of your chest right now as you read this, because your one word might be the exact thing someone else needed to find today. And this community holds what you offer here with genuine care. Now I need to go somewhere that I feel is the emotional core of this reading, the thing underneath the wheel and the judgment and the Ace of Wands, the thing those cards are collectively pointing at that is more personal than any of them individually. Something is being returned to you today. Not given, returned, because what arrives today was always yours. It did not originate outside of you. It did not come from the universe deciding to be generous, or from luck finally landing in the right direction, or from any arrangement of external circumstances finally cooperating with what you have been hoping for. It comes from you, from the specific, irreplaceable, deeply personal thing you have been building in the interior of yourself through everything this season and every season before it has asked of you. Through the quiet days when nothing was happening and you kept going anyway. Through the harder days when everything seemed to be moving backward and you refused to let that backward movement become your final definition of your own story. You built something in the silence, in the patience, in the dignity of continuing to be fully yourself in a season that repeatedly offered you the option of becoming something smaller and safer and less demanding of what you actually deserve. That building is complete, and what was built is yours. Today you start to live inside it. I want to speak now to the cost of this because I promised you honesty, and honesty includes the parts that are harder to deliver. What arrives today will ask something of you, not a payment in the punishing sense, not a fee extracted by the universe in exchange for goodness, but a genuine requirement, a thing that this new level of your life cannot coexist with, and that will need to be released before the new thing can fully settle. And the thing that needs to be released is the story of someone who is still waiting for their life to begin. You know this story. You have been living inside it for a while. It is the story that says, the real version of my life is coming. That says, I am almost where I need to be. That says, when this resolves and when that arrives and when I finally feel ready, then I can begin living at the level I am actually capable of. That story has been a companion, a patient, familiar, oddly comforting companion. It has given you somewhere to put your hope that does not require you to fully embody it yet. Somewhere to keep the best version of your future at a safe and manageable distance where it cannot disappoint you because it has not yet been required to be real. Today it is required to be real, and the story of waiting has to end, not with drama, not with announcement, just with the quiet, final, slightly breathtaking recognition that the life you were waiting to begin has already begun, was always already begun. The only thing that was waiting was you. Let me speak to what today actually looks like, because this reading has been large and I want to land it in something concrete before we close. Something will happen today, or something will shift, or something that has been in motion without your awareness will become briefly, clearly visible in a way that it was not visible before. It may be small on the surface. That is the thing about the moments that actually change everything. They rarely arrive wearing their own significance. They arrive dressed as ordinary moments. A conversation that begins without fanfare. A thought that surfaces with unusual clarity. A feeling in your body that is different from the usual feeling. A door that was closed yesterday that today, for no obvious reason, appears to be open. Pay attention to the small things today, not anxiously, not with the searching quality of someone who is looking for evidence of a promise, with the relaxed, open, genuinely present quality of someone who trusts that what is meant for them will find them without requiring them to hunt for it. Stay available. Move through your day fully present rather than mentally rehearsing the next thing or processing the last thing. Be in the actual moment you are in, because the thing arriving today needs a present person to arrive to. It cannot find you in the past or the future. It can only find you here. And one more thing. When it arrives and you feel the specific quality of it landing, the thing I described at the beginning of this reading, that moment of clarity that has the feeling of something long compressed finally releasing. Do not talk yourself out of it. That is the only instruction. Do not reach for the counter argument. Do not immediately search for the reason it is probably less significant than it feels. Do not protect yourself from the arrival of something good by finding reasons it is probably not as good as it appears. Let it be as good as it is. because this time, Virgo, it is exactly as good as it appears, and then some. Before we close, I want to say something I have been feeling throughout this entire reading that I have not yet put into words. I am proud of you, not for what is arriving, not for the breakthrough or the turning wheel or the new beginning or any of the things this reading has described, for what preceded all of it. For the quality of person you have been in the seasons that did not feel like anything, in the days when there was no confirmation and no evidence and no reading telling you that what you were doing was building something real. You kept being yourself anyway. You kept showing up with the specific, unrepeatable, genuinely extraordinary quality of presence that is yours and no one else's, even when that presence felt like it was landing in empty space, even when it seemed like the investment was producing nothing, even when the smaller, safer, more protected version of yourself was standing right there offering you an easier way. You chose the real thing every time. And today, the real thing chooses you back, not as a reward, as a consequence, as the natural, inevitable, mathematically certain result of someone being faithful to who they actually are for long enough that the world has no choice but to reorganize around that faithfulness. Today, the reorganization becomes visible. Whether you like it or not, whether you are ready or not, whether you asked for it or not, it is here and it was always coming for you. Tell me in the comments what this reading broke open. Tell me which card landed in the place that needed it most. Tell me if you already felt this morning that today was different without being able to explain why. I read everything you leave here. Until next time, Virgo, today something happens. Not might happen, not could happen if the conditions are right. Happens to you specifically, whether you are ready or not. You are ready.